Welcome, everybody, to the Healing Place podcast. I am your host, Teri Wellbrock, smiling as usual because I love my pre-conversations with these amazing humans that join me on this show. And today I have another wonderful, beautiful, amazing human. So Julie Wignall is an internationally acclaimed trailblazer with an unconventional career spanning national politics, international business, the arts, and environmental blah, 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 conservation, which we just had a conversation about, which is what I was trying to say, and it all blended into one word. Today, Julie is a sought-after consultant, workshop leader, coach, and speaker, empowering individuals to shine brighter and channel their light to transform the world. So welcome, Julie.
Thank you so much, Teri. I'm really happy to be here.
Oh, I'm excited to learn from you. I love that we're going to talk about this book, The Extraordinary Power of Fireflies. It's just, to me, like, it put an instant smile on my face as soon as I saw the title of the book, because I told you, I said I have these beautiful memories of my childhood in Ohio, chasing fireflies and catching, where my friends would sometimes, put them in jars, and I've always felt so bad, and they'd put the holes, and I would just love to watch them light up and hold them.
Well, I have to tell you, I originated from the Midwest too, so I was in Ohio too, and remember that. But just the fact that it brought the smile on your face, that's the whole purpose in the book. It's that reminding us of things that we already know when we're little, and we go chasing fireflies, and we see the magic of just even one firefly lighting up in our backyards or on an open field. It connects us to a magic. It connects us to something that's bigger than ourselves, but it connects us to the magic that's inside of ourselves. And I feel that part of what happens is we grow, we begin to get enculturated, and we forget that. We forget little things. We forget what makes us happy. We forget why we're here. We forget that we're magic. And this is that little spark that says, yes, we are. Not only are we magic, we are incredibly powerful, and we each have a light inside of us to shine. And when we shine that brighter. We bring light to all the darkness in the world. And I'll tell you, Teri, there are two places in the world, and this is neat. We've had that experience of seeing just that one firefly. And people say, oh, I'm just one person. What kind of a difference in the world can I make? Well, look at the difference that that one firefly made in your life. You know, how it transformed you. But there are two places in the world. One we're lucky to have right in the Smoky Mountains, and the other one is in Malaysia, where the fireflies blink in synchronicity. So imagine this happens later at night when the forest turns so dark you can barely see the tips of your fingers, and all of a sudden this profusion of lights, and they light up in unison by the hundreds. And then, of course, another group comes and responds to them, and then another group and another group, and they're communicating all over the forest. But what we see is absolutely pure enchantment. The forest is lit up. It looks like Christmas trees everywhere. And a lot of people don't know fireflies actually, they glow in different colors as well. It's not just that little green, yellow that we're used to seeing. So in the Smoky Mountains, you'll have fireflies throughout the forest, but you'll have what we call the blue ghost fireflies around the forest floor. They look like little landing strips. So they glow in all kinds of colors. So it's like, imagine if we all start shining our light brighter and connecting as a community and supporting each other, and we shine brighter. We have the opportunity to really light up the entire world.
Yes, and I love that. And it's like, as we shine our light, like, immediately what I thought of is I'm very drawn on an energy level to people. Like, you and I connecting, it was like that instant energy connection where I was like, oh my gosh, I love this person. Like it's just drawn to your energy, and it's almost like your light is shining, and my light. Yeah,
Answering. That's
yeah.
exactly what we're doing. That's how I feel. It's like a lighthouse. And as soon as you start putting it out, you start connecting with people to go, oh, we're all above that chatter. We kind of call it rising in those spaces between, where it's like, hey, do you see me? I'm way up here. And it's like, oh, wait a minute, I'm over here. And we're connecting you know? And that's what it's all about. And it's about getting that message out to the world, reminding people how powerful we all are. And
Yeah.
that was the basis of the whole book. I had a very unconventional background and did all the things I wasn't supposed to do. And I did them. And as I made my way to different levels of success in all different fields, I noticed that other people that I was connecting with, they'd done the same thing. They didn't follow that tried and true path. And it's like other people, I want to just separate the curtain so that people can see behind, instead of, I hear all the time, oh, what do we all carry around? I'm not good enough. I'm not deserving. I don't have a college degree. Or I have a college degree, but it's in the wrong area. I can't do anything. And it's like, throw that all out the window. You're here to make a difference. And we start with the premise of you're here to be happy. And in terms of, when you talk about healing, we all carry trauma, all of us. And it manifests in different ways. And it's at different places and different levels. And we spend most of our adulthood trying to heal from different childhood traumas. But the question becomes, because it's not that you get over it, what way do you find to welcome it so it walks to your side and it doesn't have power over you anymore in terms of steering your way to your future? And how you do that is different, I think, for each person. In my book, I have written my experiences and the things that I've learned, but then I thought that's only one way. And we all know there's plenty of different paths to get to the top of the mountain. So I chose 20 different people that are in countries around the world that are doing amazing things. Each is what I call a firefly in the human sort. And they've each found a different path up to the top of the mountain, and they're in different fields. They have different backgrounds, but it's like, it's like when you pick up a book and it's like, this is the diet book, and you have to follow my diet, and that's going to work. And if you try anything else, it's not going to work. And it's like, no, we all have trauma. There's more than one way to work with that. And here are different people who have found different ways to let it go by its side. And it's like, and that's why a podcast like what you do to me is so important, is introducing people to things that maybe they didn't think about before. There are other ways to work on healing. But I say it's not only healing, it's working on nurturing yourself in terms of moving forward. And what is that going to feel like?
Yeah. Oh, I couldn't agree more. 100%. That I've told people for so long since the beginning of the show to build your coping skills toolbox by learning everything, right? And bringing it in, because what's going to work for one person isn't necessarily going to work for someone else. But
Exactly.
or it could work one day, but then the next day you're like, that's not really resonating with me today. Let me try this.
And
Yeah.
I say that yes, and that's just a signal that you're growing and things have shifted a little bit. So go with the shift.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. Oh, shoot, something popped in my head. Oh, I wanted to tell you really quick. I love it when you talked about like pulling the curtain aside, right? Because I had done, and I've talked about this a time or two on the show, but I had gone to this thing called a harmonic egg, and it's like a sound. You go inside, and you're sitting in a anti-gravity chair, and
Oh, wow.
the lights dim, and so it's like light therapy, sound waves, like it's all coming at you, and it takes you into this theta brain meditation state, right? So I'm
Right.
in there, and one of the messages I was given, I mean, it was such a powerful, I won't go into all of it, but one of the messages I was given, I was taken to the veil, right? And at the veil, I was like, became part of the veil. There were all these butterflies, and I was taken into the veil. And the message I was given was, Teri, you are both of the earth and of the light. And your role is to be a prism of the light while on earth. And so that's why I so instantaneously resonated with your message, your work, and everything that I read about you, because it was that's it, right? It's
What a
remembering.
powerful, yeah, what a powerful message. And I'm still learning. And the last year, because we put all these different things together from all these different areas. And I learned a new term this year called consilience, which comes from the late 1800s, I think. But it's the concept of taking our experiences and information from all of these different subjects and putting them together in new ways to have a better understanding of the earth, and the planet and life and what we're doing here. I have my book, actually, I started by separating this in terms of economics and biology, connecting to the earth, the arts, which are important, spirituality, building community, social justice. And the first thing that you learn when you study biology is everything is connected. But then let's take that and let's move that into spirituality. Oh, everything is connected. And now it gets like on a deeper level. And then taking it back to the science, you go into quantum mechanics and quantum physics, and all it's doing is going, oh, they're now kind of figuring out what mystics have known for thousands of years, that, gee, everything is connected and in dimensions and things that we can't see. And it goes back to those people who say, well, I don't have the background for that. Well, part of what makes you great at doing what it is that you want to do is having whatever background that you have, because you bring a completely different lens to anything that anybody's doing. And, look around. What we're doing right now isn't really working so well. So let's do that paradigm shift and let's start looking at things from a different perspective, and to say, yes, we can really make things happen. And, in terms of people I've written about, some people have dealt with trauma in different ways. Most of them have found a certain amount of healing in connecting with other people and sharing that information. One of the people, for example, that I wrote about, Ronnie Abergel, started the Human Library in Copenhagen. I don't know if you've ever heard of this,
Yeah,
where instead of
yes.
checking out books, you check out people. Well, Ronnie's backstory was when he was a teenager, and was with his brother and a good friend. They had a friend who was murdered,
Oh,
who was shot. And in Copenhagen, they do this big festival every year, and they came up with this idea of doing a tent. And they said, anybody who's been affected by like gun violence, we would like you to come and share your story. And to the people who came to the event, they said, anyone who would like to understand more of what it feels like from our end, check us out as if we're a book, and we'll share with you our experiences, and you can ask us any questions that you want. So it all started with that, which was his own trauma and pain, and how do I deal with it? And then it starts to get bigger, and other people have issues, and other people have different traumas, and let's share that with other people. And I mean, he's now worldwide in terms of the Human Library. But what a great way to start building connections, and take things, his motto is unjudge someone. But again, that's only one way to deal with this. Other people have done different things. Rita, someone that I wrote about, who is in Kenya right now, when she was no more than 7 years old, she watched her parents be murdered in front of her. This was
oh,
in Uganda, and was taken into a prison camp. There happened to be a woman within the prison camp who knew what her future was going to look like, and made arrangements for her to escape with an older woman. And they walked from Uganda to Kenya. And I mean, when I think of trauma, how do you deal with something like that? Well, Rita discovered yoga, and she discovered that mind body connection. and she discovered Buddhism and aspects of Christianity and things that worked for her. And once she kind of felt that balance, well, what's the next step? She made yoga available to other refugees in terms of a way, to develop that coping mechanism. And, like you said, the concept is it's not just one way. There
Yes.
are lots of different ways, the sound therapy, light therapy. It's finding the way that works for you
Right.
because it's all connected. It's all interconnected.
You know what I love what you're saying is you're basically kicking imposter syndrome to the curb because I mean, I know I've tripped over it how many times being like, oh, do people really want to hear my story? Oh, is this what I need to be doing? And how many people think, oh, because it's just I don't fit into this mold of what society's telling me I should be. And it's like, no, you are, break the mold.
And the crazy thing is, what I tell people, imposter syndrome is not something you get over because you just, again, you have to welcome it in and walk it by the side saying, I have to keep moving forward and doing this because once you do it and you go, oh, look, I'm not an imposter anymore. I can do this. Well, what do we do when we hit the top of any pinnacle at the top of the mountain? We pat ourselves in the back for about 5 seconds. We talk about all the mishaps along the way and we go, oh, look, there's another mountain. Can I climb it? And imposter syndrome comes back all over again to go, yeah, I did all these amazing things in the past, but this is something new. And it comes back all over again. And I think it's part of just the process and that we don't teach enough that there is no path that is you go to point A to point B to point C and it always works. We know that life is filled with bumps and whines and failures and trip ups, and there is no clear path. And actually, Carl Jung once said, if the path in front of you is clear, chances are you're on someone else's. So we need people to chart those own paths, but we also need for everybody to begin to understand it is scary. We do get imposter syndrome, and those fears take over all of us. That's universal, but we want to make sure that it doesn't steer the boat so that we continue to go ahead. But part of that is, you and I had started by talking about being authentic and sharing that information. I define the concept of a firefly as in the human sword as someone who sees beyond what's going on and so this is what needs to be happening, whether it's in social justice or the environment or your community or your family. This is what this needs to look like. And I'm going to take action. That's the key word, is that action. I'm going to take action to create that world that I want to be living in, that's going to take care of these problems. I'm not going to wait for politicians, for doctors, for this or that. I'm going to move forward in what needs to be done. And that lighthouse effect, you start shining and somehow you start connecting with other people going, I've got a similar vision and I want to work with you and I want to help. And how can we do this together? And that's where you really create these huge communities of people who really are working at transforming the world. One couple that I wrote about, their only background, Teri, and what they ended up doing was the fact that they love to travel and they love to eat. Well, great background to decide that they wanted to introduce the foods of different countries to different communities. They're not chefs. They don't have restaurants. They they don't have any of this, but they had creativity and they had innovation. And together they started what has become the World Refugee Food Festival, where for a week every year, different restaurants open their doors to allow chefs that are refugees from other countries or grandmothers or people from different places to share the food of their countries. And for refugees that are trying to make their way into the mainstream of any community, you're breaking bread with people. You're sharing your culture through your food. You're saying, this is what it is, and this is what I'm capable of doing. And it's grown to take place all over the world. And it's taken a new step in that now they're actually training people to say, okay, now we're ready. Now that you've seen this, these are people who are looking for jobs. These are people who can add in a beneficial way to your restaurant, your catering business, your event business. So it's just having that vision. You don't always know where it's going to go or how it's going to expand in turn. That path is new, nobody knows. And part of this is getting used to that uncomfortable feeling of when somebody says, "Oh yeah, what is you doing, and what is it going to look like?" And then you go, "I don't know. I'm still kind of figuring it out." But
I
to be
only
able to
laugh
be
because I've so been there where I've been like, I don't know.
right, and and this goes to when you're writing a book, and I worked with a group of we call ourselves transformational authors. Everybody's looking to transform the world in a different way through writing. And everybody goes through the same thing. You're fine, you're fine. And you can go to your cocktail parties, this and that. Oh, what are you working on? Oh, I'm working on this book. That becomes a really good crutch, and you can use that for years and years and years until it starts to become, oh, are you still working on that
I've
book?
been writing my memoir for like 12 years, so I'm just saying.
It's and you kind of get to the point where you go, well, but then when you fight that last battle and you say, okay, here it is, it's ready to be released, then you go through that same insecurity. Is anybody going to want to read it? Is anybody going to get anything out of it? Why did I spend all these years doing this? And all that self-doubt kicks in like everything else. But then once the book is done, the next question is, oh, well, now what? Now what do I say with people? And it's like, I'm still figuring things out. We got to make it so that that's okay. And I talk a bit about that to say that it's okay not to know. It's okay to fail. What holds us back from trying to realize our greatest dreams and the things that make us the happiest. And we're terrified of failing, but that's part of the process. And how wonderful to be able to meet people and sit down and go, okay, this was the mess that I made this since I saw you last, and to be supportive in that. And to have somebody respond and go, man, I've been there. I know what that's like. We are so busy when we show up at reunions, at family affairs, or whatever, that we have to have that right thing that we say that makes everybody say, oh, well, you're okay and you're doing great and you're climbing, to be able to say, I really don't know what I want to do. I'm not sure what the next step is. I'm looking in different places, and where we build that community of encouragement and support that allows people to really fly.
Yeah, yeah. And one of the things that popped into my head was, as trauma survivors, which many in my audience, people who are listening right now, um, that it's not necessarily that you have to do these grandiose things and create these big, nonprofits or whatever it is. It's the little things, right? Because like you said at the beginning, the one firefly, but when we all are doing the little things and we all are lighting up, wow, what a difference it makes.
Yes, it's a little, and sometimes it's no more than talking about it. You don't realize if you've been through trauma because it becomes so self-focused, and rightfully so. It's our trauma, and we protect it, we take care of it, but that there are always other people who have had similar experiences or people who can relate to that. And if you begin talking about it, it gives permission for someone else to say, oh my gosh, I had a similar trauma that I never share or talk about with anyone. You've just opened the gates to allow that to happen. And that's huge. And those traumas, we learn, like you said, how to cope with them, how to move forward, but they are always there. They're part of, in Jungian psychology, we call it's part of your shadow. But I always tell fireflies, it's in the darkness that we shine the brightest. So it's the shadows that give us depth. But I had an experience with a woman who was in her 80s and was recounting she had grown up in Europe and she had been raped by a priest. And in recounting it, it's amazing how seeing someone who is 83 years old reverts into a 17-year-old, where it is just as real in her 80s as it was then.
No.
Those traumas are with us. They can be brought up anytime you want and anytime you really want to re-experience that. But what you hope is that you can get to the point where when you revisit them from a level that's a little bit distant, to say, I acknowledge the pain, I acknowledge the trauma and everything that's there, and now it's a choice if I want to relive that pain or just know that it's there and shift my focus to what I want to do. And even doing that work, I always feel that the healing is not enough. We need to be working on nurturing, and we need to be thinking about what is it that makes us happy, because that becomes the balance to pain, is happiness. And the crazy thing is, I had an experience a number of years ago where I was working with at-risk students, 15-year-old boys, who were in so much trouble, their parents had sent them away to this boarding school where there were therapists and this and that. And I was working with them in environmental science. And I was taking them out on hikes and we were doing things in terms of connecting back to nature. And the second day I was with them, I looked at them and I said, because these kids are carrying so much anger and frustration. And I said, so if I were your fairy godmother and I were knocking on your door and I said, I am here to make all of your wishes come true, what would you ask for? What would make you happy? And now I'm thinking, 15-year-old boys, I'm going to hear, oh, I want to be a billionaire. I need to be a famous rap star. And instead, I was actually met with blank stares. And one of the boys looked at me and said, no one's ever asked me that.
No.
And I went, that's kind of crazy. Over the next couple of days, they came up with things that made them happy. It's like, you know what, Julie, I want you to know I thought about this. And when I'm at home, Sunday mornings, my dad and I make pancakes for the family. That makes me happy. When other kid comes up, it makes me happy when I'm walking in the woods. Someone else, I love when I get to walk my dog and it's just the two of us and it's quiet and the sun is setting. And you start realizing happiness takes place in the small moments. And those are the things that become part of our memories. Those are the things that we recollect. But today I make it a habit when I'm working with clients. You stop and you go, you know what? What makes you happy? And it amazes me how many adults will turn to me and go, what? Well, I don't know. Or, they have flippant responses. And I think part of this is because, and that becomes the power of fireflies and remembering the power from when we were young. As we grow older, we become enculturated. Ask any kid what they like, what they don't like, and they'll be very honest and straightforward to you. But then all of a sudden, we start telling them, no, that's not really how you feel. I don't really want to go to grandma's. I don't like the way her house smells. Oh, get over that. That's not really true. You do like it, you just don't know. I don't like chocolate. I like vanilla. Oh, you do like chocolate. Just, I don't want to go to so-and-so's birthday party. Oh, but they're your best friend. People start telling us what we like. I watched this in at my daughter's elementary school with a little boy whose favorite color was pink. And every day I would hear his mom or the aunt that took him to elementary school going, Alex, your favorite color is not pink. You're a boy. You need to choose another color. It's not pink. It's not pink. It's not pink. Well, so sooner or later, this kid's going to get the message. I guess I don't like pink. I guess, other people are telling us what we like, what we don't like, what's going to make us happy. It's that concept when we're really little and people will say to you, oh, Teri, you can grow up to be anything you want to be. And all of a sudden you become a teenager and they go, but what you should start thinking about. What's going to pay the bills and what's going to have your, 401k and your savings account and good health insurance. And all of a sudden it becomes, well, what happened to I can do anything that I really want to do? And I'm back to say, let's remember what it was like as kids when we believed that, because we need to start believing that again, because it's the truth. And I've certainly done it and I'm still doing it. And it's not just me. I've written about people around the world that are doing that everywhere. And like I said, it's a matter of just reconnecting with the magic and the light that is inside of every single one of us and believing in that.
Yes. Well, my degree's in psychology, and I shooted myself for so long. Like I should go get my PhD. Oh, I should finish. I should. And then this podcast blossomed 8 years ago, and the work, I stepped onto the healing path, and I call this my soul work. Like this is what sets my soul on fire, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, having gone the science route, environmental science, oh, I should get my PhD. Well, half of the PhDs that I've met have said, oh, it was so much. I haven't picked up a book since then. And I'm like, what? If I were teaching what I learned, it's so out of date. How can you not continue to learn? How can you not keep finding out what's going on? And some of the things that I think we need to really be exploring are how our society works and that depth, it's the as above, so below. The deeper you dive, the higher you fly. But really taking a look at things and taking a look at where we are enculturated, what happens, what doesn't happen. And when you were talking about the sound therapy, I have to tell you, I had a mentor that I went to school in Australia. And in between Australia and Singapore, there are 45,000 islands, and one or two of them are known with lots of stories about people who are very psychically attuned and had ESP and dealing in telepathy. And this mentor of mine went and lived on one of these islands for a year and a half. And he came back and he said, all of the stories are true. That was number one. But let's take a look at the dynamics of this, because this is what we're missing. He said, first of all, it's nature. Everybody's in tune with nature. It's kind of hard to get your feet in tune with the pulse of the planet. We live on a living planet. But it's hard to get in tune with that when we're walking on cement and asphalt and we're inside of buildings, and we don't always take the time to do that connection to nature, which you can do even with a house plant. But he said the other thing is we call it, oh, they've got ESP and telepathy and psychic things are happening and they're connected in the quantum field and they're experiencing things that, are crazy and out of this world. He said, the difference is it is a culture that embraces that. They don't think that they're doing anything special at all. This is daily life of being intuitive and connecting with people and the environment and a world that's bigger than us and a world beyond what we can see with our eyes. And it makes you sit down and really ponder to say, in terms of our society, what would this be like if we all began to accept this? And you don't have to do this on that global scale through politics or fighting bills or legislation. You do it through connecting with communities where they go, yep, that makes perfect sense to me. And we do create that as that global network, and that does begin to change the world.
Yes, 100%. I remember the moment here in Hilton Head. I live on this beautiful, I call it a healing island, and I had stepped outside. This was, gosh, maybe like 2 years ago now. And I stepped outside and I said, gosh, I haven't seen any hummingbirds in a while. And as I said the words, two little hummingbirds came, and they were like flitting by my eyeballs. And I was like, oh my God. So, like, it was like I knew they were there. I knew they were coming in, and I loved it. And then I started to realize, oh, wait a minute. Like we all have this gift to be able to be in tune. And
Yes,
yeah,
and we each have it in different ways. But that's part of our diversity, which is what makes it all so powerful. And part of that is spending the time getting to know your superpowers.
yeah,
And yeah, I know that this is happening, and I know that this is there, from a biological perspective. It's like when I go out into my garden, I'm looking at the colors of flowers, but I'm also very aware that when the bees come and the dragonflies, that they're seeing different colors that I'm not seeing, that they're seeing through lenses that I'm not seeing. And that's kind of that incentive to say, we all need to kind of do a pivotal shift and begin looking at things from a bigger perspective, and to know that we're connected with something bigger. I always start with the premise that every person walking this planet, we all want the same things. We all want to be seen. We all want to be heard. We all want to feel like what we have to offer or what we're doing is important. And we all want to be part of something bigger. And if we would just start focusing on that basic level that allows us to connect with ourselves and the world around us and other people, in making those connections, boy, then we really rise in those spaces between.
yes, beautiful. Well, this has just been such a lovely conversation. And again, my heart just resonates with your work and so very beautiful. I certainly want to leave you with an opportunity to maybe leave people with any final thoughts or touch upon anything that you didn't get a chance to.
Oh, I will tell you, I have a website, www.extraordinaryfireflies.com, where I believe that everybody needs to have some inspiration and encouragement every week. I have a free download on there that is flying lessons for fireflies, just free, totally free, how to start shining your light brighter today. But it puts you on a mailing list where once a week you get just a small blurb of something that's inspiring or encouraging to keep you going. It's no sales, no pitching of, it is just basic. You need to be supported, and we all need to start creating community.
Oh, I love that so much. And I love it that you said flying lessons for fireflies because my youngest, my third child, is a freshman uh, at a university studying to be a pilot. And so we've,
I love that.
oh my gosh. And so she, like every time I look in the sky and see a plane, I can't believe my kiddo's like flying those things. It's so cool.
That is exciting.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Well, again, this has been just such a treat to have you here. Thank you so much for the work you do and shining your light.
Oh, Teri, thank you so much. And to everybody listening, we all need to shine brighter. The world needs you now.
I love it. Amen. All right. All right. Well, everyone, thanks for joining us today on the Healing Place podcast. And remember, until next time, be gentle with yourself. Thanks. Bye-bye. Hey, everybody. Teri Wellbrock here. Just wanted to thank you again for being a part of this healing space and my hashtag Hope for Healing journey. Thank you for sharing, liking, inviting others to join, listening in. You've really helped this show blossom. It has now been downloaded in 136 countries and is in the top 2% globally out of 3.2 million shows, which is just amazing. And it's all because of you and your tuning in and inviting others and sharing and liking and loving. And your reviews on Apple really help too. My goal is to hit 100 5-star reviews by the end of the year. And I am closing in on that. So if you are listening in on Apple or Apple Podcasts, please go and rate the show and leave a review if you absolutely love it. And I would be most appreciative. Also, if you would like to receive my monthly Hope for Healing newsletter, please be sure to go to teriwellbrock.com. It's Teri, just one R, WELLBROCK.com. And I have a gift to send you for signing up for that monthly Hope for Healing newsletter. Plus, there are many other resources listed on that page, including a resource library. All right. Thanks. Bye-bye.